1 Martin Street. We are tonight going over the Historic Preservation Master Plan, and I assume everybody's read it. And so we will go to City Planning Director Nicholas Dupuy for a brief, we need to call the order, a roll call.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Mayor Ballard?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anthony Long?
Yes.
Commissioner Haig is absent. Commissioner Host?
Here.
Commissioner Kolb?
Here.
Commissioner Kozowski?
Here.
Commissioner Therese Long? Here.
Okay. Thank you, and my apologies. And we now go to City Planning Director Nicholas Dupuy for a brief introduction.
Yeah, great, thank you. Again, Nick Dupuy, Planning Director, City of Birmingham. Brief being, I think that, so you know, I'm not here to sell you this plan. I'm not here to tell you every last little point about this plan. I'm here to hear you talk to me about this plan. So brief, I'd like to just screen through some of the highlights. I'll stop on a couple of things that I would like to emphasize and then open the floor to you. So generally speaking, I think this is something that I'd like to do more often. I hope you caught that as a theme throughout the rest of the plan. I was like to bring this into the daylight a little bit. I think that we've done a pretty fine job over the course of, what's that now, 50 plus years in terms of historic preservation. We have 82 resources, which is great. I think the plan argues that there's much more that's not only undiscovered, but discovered that we can work with. So I do have a PowerPoint presentation, which I don't need to necessarily follow, but starting with a bit of an anecdote, I was mentioning to Commissioner Kolb here that I was just in New York City this weekend. Coming from Newark, got off at the 14th Street station, which happens to be Penn Central, which was, the tearing down of which was the moment that sort of galvanized the modern historic preservation movement. So that was sort of serendipitous that I was there this weekend, and I'll also have an opportunity to talk to you about it the following Monday. So I'm very pleased to do so. This Historic Preservation Master Plan is just that. It's a master plan. It's something that we're trying to organize our vision, our goals, and our priorities into one place to move forward into the future. What I describe it as, frankly, is a bit of a get-right master plan. I think, as I mentioned, we've done a pretty good job over the years, but due to staffing, time, what have you, things go up and down, the ebb and flow, and what we're suggesting is that because we haven't had a really coherent, consistent goal on paper to move towards. The whole point of this, or half the point of this, is to shift from a reactive approach to a proactive approach. And I'm emphasizing that because reactive being Commissioner Kozlowski, you own a historic house, you need something, you come to me, we work together, I say goodbye, and we don't talk again until the next time you need something. I consider that very reactive, and that's frankly all we do right now, aside from a few newsletters. So we'd like to be a little bit more proactive, come visit you when you don't need anything, or come give you an education piece when you don't need it. You might feel like learning a little bit. It's broken up into 8 sections. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory, but the introduction, I do a lot of table setting. I give you a lot of history, not only about preservation, but about Birmingham and the context of Birmingham. Moving towards some data, historic designation, and then the action plan, which I outline the strategies that I suggest will work up towards our vision and goals. We did develop a vision statement together, not only with the Historic District Commission, but historic property owners as well, which is fairly long. I don't need to read it, but to emphasize, we're looking to strengthen and expand our connections to our historic properties and also preserve an authenticity that once gone cannot be recreated, which is something that they wanted me to emphasize as a part of presentations that I do. Again, once gone cannot be recreated. The one thing in the introduction that I wanted to really drive home here is, if you didn't know about it, we've also got a really fantastic set of historic district design guidelines. Historic district design guidelines serve a different purpose. They're more of a tool than a master plan. But our consultant at the time, Kramer Design Group, did a very excellent job of outlining what's historic preservation, why preserve, the Secretary of the Interior standards. I say all that to suggest to you that I didn't want to duplicate that effort in this historic preservation master plan. What I'm trying to do, both in the plan and when I speak about it, is make sure you know that we're attempting to treat these as sister documents. If you were reading the Historic Preservation Master Plan and you didn't see something that you thought maybe should have been in there, maybe a note about the Historic District Commission itself. Well, it's because we felt as though the design guidelines covered it, and we didn't want to be redundant, and vice versa. So I guess what I'm interested in particularly is if you didn't see something in the Historic Preservation Master Plan, and you also didn't see something in the Historic District Design Guidelines, that's what I'm especially interested in. But if you didn't see something in the plan, please check the design guidelines. All of our communications will try to emphasize that. I do some of this data and mapping. You've seen this map before, although I did update it with 2024 building figures. It's just trying to visualize for people what it means, where our buildings are, how old they are. As a staff tool, it can also help, and I'm sorry this projector is very bad at colors. I'm also trying to use it as a tool to kind of target. There's plenty more data in the plan, but included in this presentation, I wanted to also mention our public engagement, which started with a survey some time ago. And for this one specifically, do you believe historic preservation is a worthwhile goal? I think there was like 400 respondents. 94% of them said yes. I thought that was a pretty darn good place to start. Moving on, I wanted to highlight this as well, because this is something we hear from the Historic District Commission a lot, but also historic property owners, people that own old homes, real estate agents, all the like, is what does it mean to be historically designated? So we spent a lot of time in real estate in this plan, maybe not a lot, but a few pages, trying to break down in simple terms what it means and what the different types of designations mean. There's 5, I don't need to dwell on it now, but long story short, only really 2 are protective. Everything else that you see around town, a National Register of Historic Places, is a recognition-based program, and our own former program, the Heritage Home Program, recognition-based program. Moving into the action plan, what we wanted to do here is we wanted to make sure to set clear goals, outline any tasks and steps that need to happen when implementing that action, who's responsible for it, and make sure that we try to get a good idea of what resources may be required, if any. We break it down into 3 goals. One is get back to the basics. We want to support our existing resources and create an environment that's conducive to historic preservation. I highlighted a couple of action items there for you. And goal number 2, this is where we really emphasize the reactive to proactive approach. And number 3, inform and engage, is kind of ongoing goal of making sure people know about historic preservation, what it means to us, all in an effort to unify public opinion towards historic preservation of the city. So where we are right now, I'm here at a workshop. We just I just got a recommendation from the Historic District Commission to allow this draft of the master plan to go out for public comment. Public comment means a lot of things. I mentioned here, we've made sure to get it to the Birmingham Museum, a really big partner in historic preservation in the city. I've gotten it to the HDSC, the Historic District Study Committee. Of course, our HDC has reviewed it a lot. I've also been working to send it to all the historic property owners that I've engaged with over the course of this plan writing, which is quite a bit, frankly, which is very nice. A newsletter just came out saying, hey, check out our historic preservation master plan. We have a good relationship with publications like the Birmingham Eagle, which we plan to contact and say, hey, look at our preservation master plan. And anything in between, social media, you name it, networking. So right now what we're looking for is public comment. I wanted to take some time to make sure you know that I'm also not being idle here. I'm combing the plan, looking for spelling errors. I promise you there's still spelling and grammar errors in there. InDesign is not very helpful in that regard, so I have to read it and read it. If I may suggest, if you were to spend your time somewhere, I would hope you spend it on content mostly. If you've got grammar or spelling feedback, please, if you've got it already, I'll take it. But just trust, if I may suggest, that I'm doing that, and leave that to me. I really need to just know about the content from you all. So with that, I'd like to just pass it back to you, Mayor Baller, and field any questions, comments.
Okay. Well, I will just preface it all by saying I personally was very impressed with what you've done. And, we hear from the community about this a lot. Not necessarily this plan or what's in this plan, but they lament the tear down of homes. And mostly, and so I think but I think the community will be very interested in this. This will focus us on practical things that we can do.
Emphasis on practical, I like that term. I think we found ourselves being maybe overly practical in some instances because we didn't want this to be another plan, just gather dust, so.
Okay, so pleasure of the commission. We just want to go throw out questions. I think that's fine. Commissioner Host.
Nick, if you designate the frosts, how many are there that you're going to designate?
I argue now, based on a previous analysis, that there's 36 remaining.
Right, with the emphasis remaining. You know.
If there were about 44 maybe? If I recall.
Okay, yeah, but they have been altered so that they don't count as frosts, right?
Some of them have been heavily modified, yes.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that they're not eligible? I would say at this point in time, no, that doesn't disqualify them. I think each and every one, based on what I know about them, should
Okay.
be studied for it, and that's what we're arguing for.
Okay, and now your plan is 40 houses by 2040. Help me, you've had one house in this decade, and it's on Buckingham. Has it finally gotten certification?
Yes, the Dyers on Buckingham, we were fortunate enough to have you all formally historically designate that. And I'd count it as one of the 40, I might say.
Okay, but the point is it took 2 or 3 years?
It took 2 years, and I have to take most of the blame for that one, although it is hard getting the Historic District Study Committee together sometimes on such an ad hoc basis, which I believe is something else we're trying to address in this plan, and reviewing code, making them, unlocking their volunteer potential a little bit more. So I think we've been deliberate in making sure that the next one does not take 2 years.
Great. And have you thought about making the requirements a little more loose on a historic house?
Yeah, I guess to answer that, in my opinion, I think we are very flexible already. I think that we have, at least in my time here, in the 9 years I've been here, been very flexible with things like alternative materials. So you've got wood windows, single pane windows. We've allowed countless homeowners to replace to aluminum clad, for example. So I think those are the real pain points, especially when it comes to people care about their homes and they want them to operate efficiently and effectively. And I think we have not been as hard as other communities, say like East Coast communities. I think we are very much a meet you in the middle commission. So
Okay.
I'd like to think that we already do that, but if you have suggestions, I'm open to it.
Okay. And I'm told by the committee they're very happy with this, with what you've done. In fact, they're quite excited. Can you explain the moratorium on wrecking for a year? What's the import?
So if I can clarify, I believe you're asking about the demolition delay
Yes.
ordinance? So it doesn't have to be years. Sometimes it is a year, sometimes it's 90 days, things like that. It's a tool that has been on several cities' books. I gave a few examples in here for a long time. It's a code-based tool, so a regulatory tool, where you can decide, again, it's aspirational, this plan is. I think I'm just suggesting we study it and hopefully adopt it, but we can decide as a city that, hey, if a home meets certain criteria, we, as whoever it is, city commission, building official, whoever it may be, can place a pause on the demolition of that building to explore alternatives. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to guarantee that that home will not be demolished, but we can afford ourselves some time to work with that homeowner, that property owner, to maybe encourage renovation based on the recommendations in the 2040 plan or our new zoning ordinance that we're hopefully running in the next year or so. Or, of course, we'd maybe explore historic preservation options or anything in between. So it's really just a time buyer. It's totally up to y'all as a city commission, how much time, if you even want to do that. It's just another option. So the reason I say it's another option is because I guess right now, if you want to do anything historic to your house, you got to designate it. There's nothing else that you can do. We don't have the Heritage Home Program anymore. We don't have any sort of other ordinances. So what we're trying to introduce is a couple more options for people that aren't full-on formal historic designation, and that's one of them.
Okay, could you explain the plaques that you're suggesting, and approximately how many houses do you think would qualify for plaques?
So it depends on what plaques you mean. So we've got the 82 that are formally designated now. I would say that all of those,
Yeah.
frankly, should have a plaque. Most of them do. The other plaques that I've mentioned, both in the plan and maybe in speaking, are the Heritage Home plaques. There's, oh gosh, I think somewhere in the 50s that were recognized in the early 2010s, 11, 12-ish. But as I mentioned in the plan in the data section, there's almost 800 buildings in the city that are 100 years or older, which was the qualification for the Heritage Home program before. So it depends on what you're asking. There could be 800 that could qualify for a plaque should they want to do one under perhaps a revamped Heritage Home program, or
Yeah, but none of them have them. Is there a procedure for getting such a plaque in place?
there's not now. What we're proposing is to create one. Back in the 2010s, 2011s, it seemed like it was just not a one-off. It was sort of a short-lived program where you approached the city, we gave you a plaque, had a party at the Allen House, the new museum. It was a great ceremony from what I heard. And then it sort of fizzled out. What we didn't have was any data on what those homes were besides their address. So at one point with the Historic District Study Committee, we did a little bit of research on how many of them have been destroyed. I don't have that on the top of my head, but it's several. And what we're proposing, at least what we were proposing then, was that in exchange for the plaque, we would ask for much more data. When was your house built? What's the predominant material? Is it associated with any people? Do you have the blueprints? Things like that, so that we can have the data as opposed to just the address. So that's part of what we envision as a revamped Heritage Home program.
And when do you hope to get that off the ground?
The Heritage Home program? Oh, I think I put it at year 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, that sounds 2029.
Yeah, we just get our training wheels set here, get our sea legs, get a few of the, I don't want to say more important, but I hope you know what I mean. Some of the bigger fish or more foundational pieces out of the way. And also build excitement so that when we're ready to roll out a revamped Heritage Home program, there might be more interest.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. I have a couple quick follow-up questions.
Yes.
To some issues he raised, and then we can go on. He brought up Wallace Frost, and you brought up Wallace Frost. And if I look around today, there are literally dozens of architects working in Birmingham doing significant work, and I can't help but believe there were other architects working 100 years ago who designed homes. My home, for example, was not a Wallace Frost home, but I like to think that it's historically, architecturally significant. I don't know who designed it, but I would hope that you could be looking for additional architects and their work.
That's absolutely the case. I think the Wallace Frost we're treating as the lowest hanging of fruits. It's the stuff we know where they are, we know who they are, we have a book written about it. So it's just, let's get that, that low apple. I've heard of plenty of, world-renowned architects having designed homes here. They just need to be uncovered. I'm willing to bet the museum knows a lot more too. So I think the Wallace Frost is just a start.
Good. Since he brought up the demo delay and you started talking about it, I think that opens a lot of questions, raises a lot of questions. And I wonder if you have done any research as to how that impacts, whether it has an impact and what it is. I think in Birmingham, you have a lot of homes that are purchased before they even go on the market. And then the developer who bought it, possibly to build a spec home, applies for a demo permit. And now the property owner is not the person, the family that lived there for 30 years and has some, emotional attachment. It's a developer. And I can imagine that a 90-day delay just is going to raise the cost of the home that's ultimately going to be built there. And that one of the maybe unintended consequences of this is, what some might think is an unreasonable or unwarranted increase in the cost of building a new home. So not that you have any of those answers right now, but if you do, tell us. If you don't, it's maybe something that you can look into.
I don't have the answers right now, and frankly, I don't really want to guess, because I'm not as strong in, say, the economics of building homes, nor the legal aspects, frankly, and I haven't asked Mary. So I wouldn't answer right now because I don't want to guess.
Okay.
But I think,
I'm sure some of these communities that you cited
yes.
have some experience with it and can tell us.
And we're known for calling those communities, calling their planners or historic preservationists, trying to understand. I mentioned here a lot the National Association of Preservation Commissions. They offer a lot of great trainings. That's where I first learned about it. So there's a lot of resources to make sure that whatever we do propose, it's well-founded and that the variables are well thought out.
Okay, Heather, I didn't mean to.
Can I? So I'm going to actually piggyback a little bit off of that because, like, I thought most of the plan was great. I really like most of the stuff that's here, but I was thinking about the demolition delay, and I read some of the ordinances from the other cities that were cited, and I felt like they had two pretty different approaches. One of them was basically the demolition delay only applies to sites that had already been deemed historic by some committee or some other criterion. And other ones were basically any home that's over 75 years old automatically qualifies. And judging both by, you have that wonderful map that shows the age of the different homes, and then judging by the statement in the conclusion, as a general rule, every old building is special, complete with its own identity and definitive character, and this plan submits that every building deserves a chance to be considered for its historical value, no matter its age, prominence, or disposition. My concern is that the demolition delay will basically become universal. Anyone who wants to demo any house for any reason is going to become subject to this delay, and is it 90 days, is it a year? And, Commissioner Ballard or Mayor Ballard pointed out that, if you're a developer, if you're a senior and you're going to try to shop out your home because you're planning on moving to a retirement community or something, and you're entertaining an offer from a developer, well, if that developer knows, well, as soon as I apply for a demolition, I'm going to get hit with a demolition delay, and there's some probability that they're going to turn up some evidence that this is a historic home because it's sufficiently old or something, and then maybe I can't even demo it at all, and I'm basically stuck with what to a developer would seem to be a lemon. And so that's going to affect both the price at which how much they're willing to pay for the home, and potentially, the delay is going to then potentially increase the cost of the home that they eventually build. So those are, so I guess the question I have here is, how broad are we looking in terms of application of the demolition delay? Was the idea that, any home could qualify for historic preservation, therefore we want to sort of have this be a blanket thing? Or is it like, well, we have our local historic designation, and we have our historic districts, and those places we're going to be really protective of? What was the thought process there?
Sure. So I'm going to guess that this answer will be pretty wholly unsatisfactory in that, so I called this plan aspirational somewhat earlier on, and that's exactly what it is. The answer to most of what you said is I don't know yet. I think what we would do, and I'm suggesting we started pretty early so that we could find out, is we would spend months and months at first the Historic District Commission figuring exactly those things out. If there is a age, what is it? If there is some other criteria, what is it and why? If it's something else, what is it, how long, all those things, and eventually hopefully touching points with you all along the way. And then eventually perhaps making a recommendation to this body, who would then pick that apart yourselves. So that's the unsatisfactory part, is I really don't know yet. I think it's becoming such a useful tool in other communities. I thought it would be irresponsible not to at least explore it as a preservation tool. But just like when the 2040 plan was adopted, we said the word aspiration about 10,000 times because we want to make sure people know that just because it's in here doesn't mean it's going to be a thing. We find it worth studying because of the value of it and the value of protecting older homes, but we're just not sure yet. And I appreciate the feedback nonetheless. This is all really good to hear. So even though I don't have an answer, it's nice to know there's a concern.
That was my primary comment.
So, also piling on to the demolition delay, I mean, I read the other sample policies, or the other example policies, I should say, and some of the solutions that they had, are not applicable here, like selling the historic home and having it trucked off-site, So I also have a concern about, if the HDSC is going to be assigned to study each home that has this demo delay, do they have the capacity to do that timely? Do they have the objectivity to do that, or is that something where we would need an external consultant to turn that around timely? And again, how many homes would we consider? And for this community, what is the balance between trying to take the time to evaluate a home and impinging on people's private property rights? Same thing for the Wallace Frost designation. So there's 36 remaining homes. What if a homeowner doesn't want the historic designation? Do we force it?
And the answer to that is absolutely not, by the way.
Okay.
I think we have a history of voluntary designation, and that we've never been interested in forcing designation on any property owner here. I think
'Cause
the idea is that we would build up energy and get as many as we can.
Because there's no qualifiers. It says designate all the historic Frost homes.
Right.
It doesn't say whether they,
I think it says petition to, but your point still is well taken, but
If you remember, Max Horton went through Little San Francisco and asked approximately 24 of the houses if they wanted historic designation, and he got one response, and it was no. And he theorized the other 22 or so had no interest in being historically designated, because then you got to show somebody, you got to do something that you probably don't want to do, which is, for example, you have to show them the sample of the glass that you're going to put in the windows. It was,
right. So,
Right, or not.
Or
I mean, I think, may I, I'd just like to respond to that. I mean, one part of this plan that intrigues me or makes me feel good is that there's a whole lot of education in here. To what does it mean to be designated all these different things? Right now, I think there's a lot of fear, and some of it may be well-founded and some of it may not be, depending on what it is that somebody might do or not do. So,
yeah. And in government, there's sticks and carrots, and I knew I didn't want to come at this with a bundle of sticks. I think the carrots are 3-1 in terms of outnumbering the sticks here, but
I did note somewhere in here that anybody can petition. You're nodding your head. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
That is true.
City staff, the next door neighbor, right?
Somebody from Berkeley.
Okay.
and that's true now, isn't it? We had this discussion before about whether your neighbors could force you to have your house historically designated so that you couldn't change it for their benefit, and then you would be stuck
Yeah.
maintaining it. So, I mean, at this point, I don't think we forced anybody to designate it, but that was rather a flashpoint in that discussion. So that concerns me. Forcing people to do things concerns me. The other thing is the encouraging maintenance so that, you don't lose historic assets to neglect, as you said. Demolition by neglect, they call it. But what are we going to do if there are homeowners who can't afford that maintenance? I mean, if you have the biennial inspection and you find them deficient, but it's a senior who's, just biding time till they want to sell and move to the retirement home or Florida.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is a concern that we have to figure out how we're going to deal with.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things we heard a lot from historic property owners, was maintenance is the worst part. Because if you let it go, it becomes too late really fast. So I think what we've tried to do is also envision ways to build financial support for exactly those types of people. There's a great grant out there called the Paul Brune Preservation Grant that you can get from the federal government that you can create a sub-grant program for maintenance programs. So for example, if we were to get $50,000, something like that, and we could offer, what's the math there, 25 residents, $2,000 to do some maintenance. Big win for us. But what you should know, and maybe I can emphasize more in the plan, is that we don't want to be burdens. We want to be working with these people, not be adversarial. We want to make sure that we're helping so we can, and not being, again, walking around carrying sticks and rather carrots.
Another thing in this plan talked about in the 3 historic districts, an increased emphasis on what the non-contributing assets. So does that mean that you're going to ramp up the way you look at any work done on those houses just by virtue of them being in those districts, as far as having to go to HDC for anything, or?
The answer is yes, and that's when I say back to the basics or get right plan, that's what we're supposed to be doing now. So envision the Central Business Historic District, which basically runs Oakland to Brown and east-west, oh gosh, forgive me. Call it Southfield, whatever. That's all one big historic district. Each resource should have been over the years treated as neighbors or within the district and reviewed as such. Now, could they have ended up exactly the same? Sure. Sometimes they have gone to the commission, but we've been inconsistent. And in the other residential districts specifically, I personally have never seen a design review come forth or any sort of application come forth for the non-contributing resources in those districts, which we're technically supposed to be doing now. So it's very much a do what you're supposed to be doing kind of recommendation, although I think I get the sense that you might be concerned as to how it might turn out, that people who did not voluntarily designate might be burdened in some way by this particular thing, and I want to be open that it might be a little bit harder, but we're still a very much meet in the middle commission, so I don't think it will be overly burdensome. But
Again, leading to, delays and increased costs and so forth. I mean, throughout the whole thing, there's obviously a very careful balance between, as you say, carrots and sticks, between our goals for the 2040 plan, and then trying to use this plan to maybe affect or change or influence the 2040 plan. There's that section about, 2040 plan encouraging density, and this plan saying maybe not, that I think the devil's going to be in the details. I also wanted to point out 2 inconsistencies I noted on table 21, Nick. Pro 7 and Pro 9 both have Rs as if they are regulatory, but in the description of both of those things on page 39, it says this non-regulatory,
okay.
blah, blah, blah. So are those supposed to be Rs or NRs for both of those?
So for Pro 7, that should probably be NR, and Pro 9, preservation values, principles, and processes within the municipal policy. I think they should probably both be NR, but I'm going to look a little bit more into it and make sure that they are consistent no matter what.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing further?
No, yeah, if those are both regulatory, then that raises other concerns, so.
Good to know. Yes, I'll make sure.
So I have just one comment and kind of I'm sorry.
I thought we were going down the line.
No, I did.
Oh, okay, go ahead. That's fine. Okay.
You guys did, Sam? No,
That's
go
okay.
ahead.
So I have one, it kind of encompasses what a number of the commissioners said, and that's on consistency of enforcement. So there's a structure and a process where no matter who it is, here's step one, here's step two, and some rigidity to it, so that everybody knows what they can plan for. So, yep, you're going to get hit with a 90-day delay every time, and then they build it into the plan when they make the offer. So it's less relevant. And I think that enforcement component and then the consistency across how it's applied rigidly is important.
Great.
Other than that, I think it's great.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. First of all, excellent. I had a mentor when I first started practicing law, and he wrote everything down. And he said, when you have a plan, write it down, because your chances of achieving it go up by more than 50% when you actually write it down. And that's what we're doing here. This is just like our 2040 plan, it is, I don't want to say wish list, because this is a goal, these are goals, and this is an excellent start. Well, probably well beyond a start, but it's excellent. Yeah, there are issues that, and I agree with some of my fellow commissioners on some of the issues. For example, I think the demolition delay ordinance needs to be something that is, those properties need to be designated earlier rather than later. So we don't have somebody that says, I didn't know when I bought this house that this house could be subject to a demolition delay, and then we buy ourselves an issue with regard to diminishing somebody's property value because they don't want to retain it as an historical building. Hopefully they do, but if they don't and they didn't know about it, that's a problem from my perspective. But what I really like about this is the educational part, because I learned a lot. I lived in the city for almost 30 years, and I learned a lot reviewing this that I didn't know. I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there. And you know, when I ran for city commission, I had a lot of people say, well, are you for or against historical homes? And it's like, you know, you can easily say, yes, I am, but by us writing it down and supporting it and honing this, that means more than just a yes answer. So I applaud you for that, to get this off the ground. More so than it has been in a number of years. And I think that the educational component that Mayor Baller mentioned is a really important part, because there's a lot of people who have fear about this because they fear that they're going to be saddled with a property that they can't do certain things to, that they can't afford to maintain, that they don't want to get permission for what glass they're going to use, many, many other examples. And I think if we can educate and support. I like in here how there's a creating a financial incentive program in the city of Birmingham to incentivize people who have historic homes to have them designated as such, and know that they're going to get some financial support, whatever that may be, because look, historic homes are more expensive to maintain than a newer home. So I like that. The resurrecting the heritage home program, I think should be something earlier rather than later in the process, just as part of that education process. But
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit, exactly. Irving Tabachman was a well-known architect and builder in the city.
Oh, yeah.
I actually bought a property off of him on Smith that I ended up building a house on, and he died in a tragic car accident. But he has a number of homes, including his own in Birmingham, that could also be low-hanging fruit. I know there's more than one, and probably less than 12. But so with that, I'm delighted to see this. I think there's a lot of work that went into this, so you should be commended, and your staff for doing it. And I look forward to continuing to support it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Host.
Nick, you do a great job. Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
But thank you. Part of what you haven't mentioned in here is the affordability of our homes. But I think all of these directives are helping us attain some sense of affordability. And back to the wrecking ball. Can we charge more, based on the fact that you say since 2015, we've demoed 753 homes or something like that. And I know from 2010, we're probably total over 1,300 at this point, and we only have 9,200 dwellings. Can we charge more for demo? If you want to demo something, and use that money to maybe help people keep their house up to snuff?
I think as of right now, with the tools we have, the answer would be no. Yeah, I think it would be no right now.
The city manager might opine on that, or the city attorney. I believe the fees that we charge are related to the cost that we incur in.
Overall, that's absolutely correct. The fees we charge can only be for the cost that we incur. So it's a permit. We don't do the demo. It's the permit. And what it costs to issue a permit in terms of time to staff is all we can charge.
Commissioner Host might argue, along with others, that there's a societal cost. Can that be factored in?
Not under
No.
current law.
I believe that you had floated at one point that if it was going to be your own house that you lived in, it should be X amount, and if you were a developer, it should be 5X amount, and we were all told that that was not legal.
The developer is the property owner.
Well, not only that, but the developer's going to pass that cost onto the eventual homeowner.
Anyway.
Anyway.
True, but it would add a lot of money to our coffers.
If we're trying to talk about affordability, that
Yeah.
doesn't help it.
And on that note about affordability, because I didn't mention it, I think it might be good to mention it, because the cost of things is a central issue for historic property owners. There are studies, one really extensive one in Michigan, others on the East Coast, that actually provide for data that suggests that homes in a historic district actually maintain their value better than those not in districts over time. And it's the consistency factor that they attribute it to. So you've got a historic home in a historic district, you buy next to me, you know that I can't tear it down and I can't build a big footprint home. So what, sort of a loose thread here, and we're not ready to do anything like that in a big study now. We've got, like one historic residential district. But that's something that we could maybe look forward to, is maybe more consistent housing prices due to something like historic preservation, should it come to that.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm going to state the obvious, but if we had magically were able to give a program where we gave financial relief to those who designated their homes historic, I think you'd have a lot more people raising their hand and volunteering to do so. It is the fear, and the fear is cost. On many different avenues. Am I going to be able to sell my home? Am I going to lose money on my home because now I'm not able to sell it because it can't be used for X, Y, and Z? Am I going to be able to afford to, is the glass that I have to get approved 10 times more expensive than the glass that I would normally use? The cost is what drives this, and in my opinion, first and foremost, there's a lot of other things, but number one, in my opinion, is the cost. And if we have an avenue where the city can support that in some way, you might have a lot more people raising their hand and being willing to participate.
Yeah, it's economics, and close second is just the lack of desire for government control over your property, which is what we're trying to change. We're looking to play suggest to people that we're here to support, not control.
And his point is that it's an economic question. The support
Yes.
can't merely be,
And isn't there still a tax credit program?
There is in the state of Michigan, yes. It's relatively new, and it's too limited right now. Advocates at like the Michigan Historic Preservation Network are still really pushing to either increase it or totally uncap the preservation tax credits that you can get from the state, which could be a really valuable tool here, which is why in one of these I suggest that someone like me or more staff members become a little bit fluent in those tax credits so that we can offer that as another service to Birmingham residents. You've got a home, you want to explore the tax credits, come to us, we can help. That kind
What do the tax credits credit you against? Like your property taxes, your state income
State income
taxes?
taxes.
I
Your state
believe
income
it.
tax?
I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
And what I understand is really hard. It's really hard right now, and the bar is really high. So I'd like to understand a little bit more about what that means. I know it's kind of an innocuous statement, but the state is, if you think we're strict, try getting something through the state. They're very strict.
and it's not just for having an old home. You have to be spending money on it.
Yeah.
That they then,
Yeah, and it has to be historically designated.
Yeah.
So it can't just be a 150-year-old home. It has to be a 150-year-old historically designated home. So.
Yeah. I had another, speaking of economics and cost, I felt like there were a number of these action items that were, listed as no cost, which I think basically meant no physical materials needed to be procured, but oftentimes they were like, well, they're going to take staff time, they're going to take committee time, and this is something that Commissioner Long kind of pointed out, if we're doing sort of the demolition delay, or we're trying to figure out if a house qualifies as being historic or not, a lot of these things do require a lot of time, and staff, yourself included, have a lot on their plates already. And the idea that, oh, well, there's no cost here, we'll just tell staff to do, 15% more work every week. That is cost. So I think that maybe just identifying that, not referring to things as no cost if they are, in fact, going to take a lot of time and effort, I think would be more honest description of some of these action items.
good point.
It is a good point, and someone like myself, I am willing to add the extra 15% workload a week, as you put it, but if something changes, I can't expect the next person to, or the person after that. So it's a fair statement.
Commissioner,
We need you to keep you, Nick.
I'd like to stay, thank you.
yeah, there's plenty of time. I had a question for the city attorney on property taxes. Is there anything that a local government can do on property taxes related to this or anything else? Or are we?
That's a really big, broad question. Yeah, I can't answer that sitting here today. I did hear some commentary about the city having some financial ability to these homes. And I have to remind everyone that the city cannot use public funds for one private home or one private entity. So, while all of this is being developed, I'm sure Nick will be talking to Tracy and myself about this, and narrowing that. However, for the tax issue, I don't know. That's something certainly that we can take a look at. There are very limited tax incentive programs in the state. Most of them are for public development. So you would have different opportunities for development in depressed areas to have different tax incentives and tax breaks. I don't know of any for private homes, but we certainly can research it.
We will be opening it up to public comment very shortly if there's no one in the room here, but if you're online and you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, use the raise your hand function and we'll give you an opportunity to speak. I see no one, but we're going to keep our eye on that. Commissioner Host.
Yeah, Nick, is there any way we can incentivize renovation versus demolition?
I am full of unsatisfactory answers tonight.
Thank you for the consistency.
The answer is, I don't quite know yet, but I think in the exploration of the 2040 plan, we'll darn sure find out. I think when we have the zoning professionals in here, whoever they may be, most of them have a national presence. I think if there's something out there, they'll know about it. If not, we'll find something, but I like to think there's a way, but I don't quite know yet.
I would say that's not the first time that question has been asked, probably not the first time you've asked it. Have you found anything in your own research?
No, other than in listening to Nick, I certainly have the feeling that on the East Coast, they're way ahead of us.
Possible. The city manager.
Yes, I just wanted to add that that type of discussion came up during the 2040 plan discussions, as many of you know. And there was some discussion, can we, if somebody's doing a renovation to an existing home, can we speed up their permit review time? Can we reduce the permit fees? Can we relax some of the standards to allow, different types of zoning changes? If you keep the building, we'll let you go a little closer to the side lot line. All of those things have been considered, but we don't have any of them in place yet.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I think that there are, along the lines of some of the comments, I think there might be entities, foundations out there that could be explored, that could provide or help provide the financial incentive that maybe the city can't for the reasons outlined. The Ford Foundation is doing it downtown in Corktown, for one bad example, but the East Coast may be ahead of us, and so maybe there's some foundations out there that would have an interest in supporting this for municipal cities like the city of Birmingham. And I think that should be explored.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Good session. Anyone have any closing thoughts?
I have two that I forgot to
Okay,
mention,
yeah.
if I may, since we have 5 minutes. In case anybody else had a hard time with it, I've gotten a lot of feedback about the font choice. It's a little hard to read. I am not married to that font choice, and I'm changing it now. I think it's fair. I think I just got a little bit too cute. So I'm going to change that. The second thing, of course, I'm forgetting. Why am I forgetting? I don't know.
Something else related to the overall presentation, organization, structure?
Gosh darn. Thank you.
Public comment periods.
As long as we have a minute, you referenced the survey. Was that a Engage Birmingham
Yes,
survey?
it was.
It
Yeah.
was, okay.
Yep.
Well, we'll give you 2
Oh.
minutes to think
No
about it.
pressure, no pressure.
Anyone who wants to take a break
Just see.
before we officially adjourn the session.
That's quite all right. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Would you like us to email you any typos and stuff we found, or do you want us to just keep it to ourselves?
It's like if you found them, sure. If you've already done
Okay.
it, sure. Definitely. Because I have read it about 200 times, so it's all,
And some of us can't help but find them when you read them. They just,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that we're quaint, but as a descriptor, but,
Okay. Motion to adjourn? No, just adjourn.
sorry.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Birmingham City Commission for December 1st, 2025. We're at 151 Martin Street in the City Commission room of our beautiful historic City Hall. I'd like to call to order, and if you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Ballard,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Long,
Here.
Commissioner Haig is absent, Commissioner Host,
Here.
Commissioner Kolb,
Here.
Commissioner Kozowski,
Here.
Commissioner Therese Long.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have proclamations, congratulatory resolutions, awards, appointments, resignations, and confirmations, administration of oaths, introduction of guests, and announcements. We have no announcements, but we have several appointments, starting with the Design Review Board. Mr. Sweeney is up for the Design Review Board. Are you here? I'm here. Great. Could you please approach? Excellent. Just, we know your name, but you might want to repeat that. Tell us where you live and why you're interested in serving on the Design Review Board.
Sure. Stephen Sweeney, 160 Larchley Drive. Interested in the Design Review Board. So I own a business, and we just did an addition in the city of Pontiac, which took a couple years. So familiar with glazing, architectural, and really got me familiar with the whole process, and look forward to hopefully the potential of continuing that and adhering to Birmingham standards in the city of Birmingham. I love the city, really enjoy everything we're doing and all the new businesses coming here, and hope I can learn and add any insights to that.
Excellent. Does anyone, Commissioner Host?
Steve, you're currently on the Parks and Rec Board. Are your intentions to stay on it and become the alternate on this one, or what?
My plan would be, if allowed, to finish my term, which is ending in March. If not able to, I would be happy to resign and put my full attention to the Design Review Board.
City Manager Eckert.
Just remember, as we talked about the last time, there was some concern, can someone serve on two boards? The policy is no, they cannot, unless it's expressly permitted in the ordinance, which, as you recall, I said, I know for the Public Arts Board, you could serve on the Public Arts Board, and it specifically says in the ordinance that you can serve on the Public Arts Board and the Parks Board, Public Arts Board and the Planning Board, Public Arts Board, and the DR Design Review Board. You cannot serve on the Parks and Rec Board and the Design Review Board, so he would have to select one.
Okay. Did you have anything to add?
Concur.
Okay, thank you. So that's okay with you?
Yes, that is
Okay,
okay
good.
with me.
Any other,
That was my same question.
okay. Anyone else? Nomination?
I'll make a nomination. If I may.
Fire away.
I'd like to appoint Steve Sweeney as an alternative member to the Design Review Board to serve a remainder of a 3-year term to expire on September 25th, 2028.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, next up, we have the Environmental Sustainability Committee, Celeste Herpel?
Yeah.
Thank- Herpel. Celeste Herpel. Celeste, come on down.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Celeste Herpel, and I'm a resident of Birmingham, 520 Willett Street. Been here almost 7 years, this time around. And I live with my husband here.
Okay.
What else would you like to know?
Your interest and qualifications to serve on the Environmental Sustainability Committee.
Well, it's really I wouldn't call it a passion, but it's almost a passion. And it aligns with my business as well. I'm a small business owner, and I took over my dad's business, and he pioneered aerodynamics for the heavy truck industry. So over the course since 1976. He was the first to come out with a full roof fairing. I mean, it saved billions and billions of dollars of gas and helps reduce the carbon footprint. And it's something that is still very big, if not bigger today, because back then, nobody really cared that much or thought that the environment was, certainly not in the transportation industry, particularly vulnerable. But there's been a lot of regulation. I've worked with EPA on different task force groups within the transportation industry. And I've always thought about how we can be more sustainable, how we can reduce our carbon footprint in any way that we can. So when this came about, it was actually, I read about it in one of the Birmingham books, or one of the publications that came out earlier during the summer, and I ripped that page out because as a small business owner, I've also been extremely busy. There hasn't been a lot of time during the course of my career to do some of the things that would be outside of the job that I'd like to get involved in. So now that I'm semi-retired, it gives me an opportunity to give back a little bit to the community. So when this position presented itself, I thought, well, I'd like to give back, and I think that I could be an asset.
Excellent, thank you.
Anything else?
Any questions? I did take the opportunity to look at your website and and the history, and we're so proud to have you as a resident of Birmingham.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Well, so are we. Nominations? Commissioner Host?
To appoint Celeste Herpel as an alternate member to the Environmental Sustainability Committee to serve the remainder of a 2-year term to February 1st, 2027.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the Birmingham Triangle District Corridor Improvement Authority. Mr. Baldwin, are you here?
I am.
Good.
Tim Baldwin. I've lived on 1043 Chestnut for the past 18 years. Actually lived in Birmingham as a kid, too. So even though my last name's Baldwin, I have no relation to the library at all or any significance of the name. But why am I'm a retread. I would be a renewal for this position. Nobody else on our little abbreviated neighborhood of the Triangle District takes it upon themselves to take on this role, and I care about our neighbors and all that, and being interesting enclave of Birmingham, which is commercial, residential, and whatnot. I'm kind of a sounding board for our neighbors about what's going on, and so happy to see that derelict building on the corner of Elm and Bowers finally gone. I know the rats living there don't miss it, or are pretty upset, but we don't miss it. Any questions?
Any questions? No? Nominations? Commissioner Host?
Yeah, I'd like to appoint Tim Baldwin as a regular member, a resident, to the Birmingham Triangle District Corridor Improvement Authority to serve a 3-year term to expire December 15th, 2028.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Congratulations. We will do swearing in now. So
Can I
if you
have
were
my-
appointed,
3 people that were just appointed back up real quick. So you're going to raise your right hand, and you'll say, "I do" after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of this state, and will endeavor to secure and maintain an honest and efficient administration of the affairs of Birmingham, free from partisan distinction or control, and to perform the duties of office of Design Review Board, Environmental Sustainability Committee, and Birmingham Triangle District Corridor Improvement Authority, according to the best of my ability.
I do.
And so, Steve. And then Celeste.
Thank you all. Next up, we have Birmingham Police staff introductions and Police Chief Scott Drury.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, for allowing me this time to introduce some of our staff members to you. Over the last year and a half, the police department has seen about 5 retirements. 4 of those were from promoted positions. So if you remember, I was in front of you not too long ago, introducing some new members of our department and also some new promotions. I want to just thank real quick Captain Ryan Kearney and Officer Gina Moody, who's not here today, for all their recruiting efforts. They worked tirelessly at trying to find recruits for our police department, and they spent a lot of time going to different job fairs at different universities, going to police academies, and all their recruiting efforts. And with that, I'm proud to present to you 2 of our new officers and 2 of our recent promotions. So first up is Spencer Buckman. If you come on up. So Spencer holds a degree in exercise science from Saginaw Valley State University. He was first hired by our department in August of '24 as a parking enforcement assistant. He always wanted to be a police officer when he was interviewed by our department and was selected to become our next officer. And he was sponsored by our department to attend the Oakland Police Academy. He's since graduated, and he started his FTO process with us. He successfully passed his FTO process, his field training program, and he has been cleared for solo patrol. So congratulations and welcome, Officer Buckman. His fiancée, Haley Miller, will be pinning his badge. They're not easy, I promise.
Yeah.
Next up is Kayla Wachell. Come on up, Kayla. So Kayla, who's originally from California, born and raised in California, actually attended Western Michigan University on a scholarship to play D1 soccer. She graduated with a degree in sports management and a minor in criminal justice. She attended the Kalamazoo Valley Community College Police Academy and was hired by our department on September 15th of this year. She is currently excelling in our FTO program. So congratulations and welcome, Officer Wachell. Her boyfriend, Logan Stuckar, will be pinning her badge. Next up, I have 2 of our recent promotions with the retirements that I mentioned. First is Chris Bukowski. So Chris Bukowski was hired by our department in December of 2019. He holds a degree in sports management from Eastern Michigan University, where he also played football. Chris is one of our field training officers, tasked with training our new officers, like our new recruits I just introduced. He's also one of our first members of our drone team. He's a trained evidence technician, and during this past summer, Chris participated in our promotional process for the position of sergeant, and on September 1st, he was promoted. Congratulations, Sergeant Bukowski. Pinning her badge this evening is his wife, Natalie Bukowski.
I don't know if I can reach it. Try not to go horizontal.
Way to go.
Next up is David Boudiger. David was hired by our department in August of 2015. He holds a degree in criminal justice from Michigan State University. Throughout his career, David has held many roles. To name a few, he was assigned as a field training officer, a certified bike officer. He was assigned to one of our undercover units and worked with our multi-agency task force, the Special Investigations Unit. David was promoted to the rank of sergeant in January of 22 and spent time as a patrol sergeant and was later assigned to our detective bureau. Earlier this spring, David participated in the promotional process to fill a vacancy at the lieutenant position and was selected. And on July 21st, David was promoted to lieutenant. Congratulations, Lieutenant Boudiger. Pinning his badge this evening is his wife, Samantha. I'd like to ask the four of you to step up, and if the city clerk, Alex, if you would swear them in, please.
You'll raise your right hand and say, "I do" after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of this state, and endeavor to secure and maintain an honest and efficient administration of the affairs of Birmingham, free from partisan distinction or evil, and to perform the duties of office of police officer according to the best of my ability.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for this time, and it's my privilege to introduce these fine members of our department. And I would like to thank everybody for being here, and anybody that would like to join us for a small reception downstairs in the lunchroom. I appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. We move to open to the public for matters not on the agenda. If you're in the room, feel free to approach the microphone. If you're online, use the raise your hand function, and we'll call on you. Open to the public for matters not on the agenda.
Don't see anybody online.
Don't see anyone in the room, don't see anyone online, so we're going to move to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and approved by a roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of the items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered later. Does anyone have an item they would like to remove from the consent agenda? No commissioners? Anyone online or in the room? Seeing none, we will do a roll call.
I need a motion and a
Motion,
second.
we need a motion.
I'll do a motion if I
Do
may.
a motion, thank you.
I'd like to move the consent agenda, including items A through G on today's agenda.
Second.
Now we can do the roll call.
Mayor Ballard,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Therese Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Cole,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Holmes.
Yes.
We good? Okay. City manager's report is usually the second meeting of the month, so we do not have that. We do not have any unfinished business, so we'll move to number 8, new business. The first item of new business is the resolution to approve the 48th District Court's 2026 budget as submitted. And we have our finance director to...
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to go through to introduce next year's proposed budget for the 48th District Court. I would just like to highlight a few things. The court is requesting a total operating budget of $5,150,000 for 2026. This is $220,000 more than the prior year, and it's mainly due to increases in salaries, benefits, and operating costs. It's important to note that the budget is funded by 3 municipalities, City of Birmingham and the 2 townships of Bloomfield and West Bloomfield, with each paying in proportion to their caseload share. On page 13 of the budget report that you have, there is the caseload percentage between 3 funding units. And based on the 2024 audited caseload, the City of Birmingham's share is 40.69%, or $2,095,535, which is an increase of approximately $158,000 from the prior year. Also, it's important to note that we advance or prepay the court's expenses based on the budget, and any unused amount is always refunded back to us. With that, I'm pleased to introduce Patrick Dunn, the court administrator, who will walk us through the budget in more detail and answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Dunn. I'm the court administrator of the 48th District Court. Thank you for this opportunity tonight. The Chief Judge, Diane DiAgostini, and myself did have an opportunity to sit down a couple weeks ago with your city manager and finance director, along with other representatives of the other two funding units, to go through this proposed budget. I know you've all had an opportunity to review the written material that we provided. The judges and I always like to first include some highlights of events that have occurred over the last year as sort of a highlight, just to give you an idea of what type of things we've been dealing with. I did note those in the written material this year. One of the ones that I will highlight tonight certainly is the rise in caseload. The court is expecting to exceed 32,000 cases this year, with the largest increase being both with civil infraction tickets as well as the general civil docket. The one that is most noteworthy is that rise in caseload with respect to the general civil docket. That is a large part due to the 2021 no-fault amendments that were passed by the legislature. We've had a tremendous amount of no-fault provider cases filed in the court over the last year. These cases typically start off with multiple parties, multiple insurance companies, different attorneys, and they go through multiple phases: discovery motions, final jury pretrials, trials, motions for summary dispositions. So they've been taking a great deal of the court resources and time, especially the judicial resources, as these are cases that the judges really have to be actively involved in and do a great deal of review. The filing fee set by these general civil cases is by statute. So the largest filing fee that the court will receive for a case like that is $150. That filing fee is based on the amount in controversy by the parties. We might get a $10 or a $20 motion fee later on, a $50 jury demand fee. So that's the most amount of revenue that the court will see with those general civil cases. So that's why I do highlight those. The other part of the budget, I know the written material we give you is the financial part that goes over what I know your finance director indicated that the court is looking for 2026 to operate the court. That's what the judges and I believe will be necessary and reasonable for the operations of the court. We like to point out what has occurred in prior caseload and case amounts from prior years to give you just a comparison basis. You'll see that rise in caseload has generated a greater amount of revenue over the last year, which has gone back to the funding units and will continue to go back to the funding units. And once again, we are on track to have a return of budget from 2025 unused, which is a commitment of the court and especially the judges to their fiscal responsibility. So with that said, I know that page 21 does have the actual figure of the amount that the court is looking for. That would also breaks down Birmingham's share, as well as on the quarterly basis what Birmingham would have to pay if this budget was accepted. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding the written material or anything else that the court is presented or looking for next year's budget.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Commissioner?
So a question, in looking at page 13, for 2025 through September, Birmingham's caseload is down 8+%.
Yes.
At the end of the fiscal year, do you true up the funding with all the units? So is Birmingham going to get a credit for the reduction versus 2023?
We do a true-up. So after everything has been resolved and we're on to a new year, we do have auditors come in, and one of the things that they do audit is the caseload. and make sure that the court has given the correct cases to each community that we serve. That's part of the audit. And then we do a true-up. And that true-up does affect the eventual disbursement, the revenue that's going back to each community based on their trued-up caseload.
Good.
I have another one. Hold on one second. So in the upfront part, and this is more going forward concern, that we might end up with a big liability. It says sustainability not applicable. May not be applicable in 2026, but at some point in the future, it's going to be, and that meter's ticking. Is there an expectation that somewhere down the road that all of a sudden the 40th District Court's going to need $500,000 to be fully sustainable based on what state laws come along?
So you're talking about like the sunset provision that
Yeah.
the governor, regarding court expenses and what the court is able to assess a defendant that goes towards the operation of the court. Governor Whitmer did extend that to the end of 2026. I know right now the legislature is working hard on alternative trial court funding mechanisms. I don't know if that's going to be in place or implemented prior to that sunset provision. Now, obviously, the same thing could happen. It could be presented to the governor to sunset that another year or another couple years. That is what has occurred previously. Or up at Lansing, they could continue their work and be ready for a new trial court funding mechanism. That is what they're looking at. But how long that process is going to take, it's tough to tell. I know that they're serious about it. I know that every time that they've asked us to participate in it, we've been one of the first courts to raise our hand. Please come in, look at the stress that it puts on our local funding units, the way the trial court is currently funded, the pressure it puts on judges with regard to operating expenses to courts. There's got to be a better model. There is other models used throughout the other parts of the country. Michigan's one of those ones that relies on local funding, but that is what they're looking at up in Lansing. Is there a better way to do it?
Okay.
I'm going to ask a quick question. Are you permitted to be, or are you involved in any, and is there any lobbying effort that focused on overall funding and/or the fees that you referenced earlier, which are insignificant?
Yeah, I mean, we constantly give feedback to the State Court Administrator's Office about what we're hearing from our funding units, from the public. We participate in all sorts of surveys. More than anything else, like I said, we invite them in and we say, please sit down with us and see what our local funding units are dealing with.
So do you see that direct contact with them being more effective than a lobbying effort that would involve multiple courts?
I think every effort would be helpful.
Is there an organized group of courts that are getting together to screen?
I know that the judges are part of associations. I'm part of associations of court administrators. We frequently have meetings where the State Court Administrator's Office, members of the legislature are invited to those meetings to, so we can weigh our concerns, express our concerns about trial court funding.
I guess the last question I would have is, do you feel that the general public is aware of this? And if they, and let's say the answer is no, would there likely be quicker, more effective action if the general public had some sense of what was going on?
They could. I will say this, it has been in the news. But if you're not someone that is necessarily looking for that because of either what you do from a work standpoint or community standpoint, I don't know how much it's, become widely talked about, but it is certainly in the news out there. With each passing day, I know in the last month, there's been news articles about it because of where they're at in Lansing with the commissions that they've set up to start generating preliminary reports about what the model could look like if they changed it. So I know those commissions are working hard, and they are starting to put things out in the media as to where they're at.
From a resident or taxpayer's point of view, this is a tax issue, right? I mean, it's our tax money going to support this, correct?
Correct.
Okay, right, yes. Anyone else? Commissioner Host.
Mr. Dunn, it's nice of you to always come here every year. My real first year was 2020, and I think your budget was at 4.8 million headed into COVID. And we asked you to try to streamline or make thrifty, the 4.8. And what's happened in each year is you went to 4.9 and you held it at 4.9 for 3 years, and now you're asking for 5.15. Tell me how you're trying to save us money.
Well, as I indicated, we are always looking to save money. So we have done exhaustive review with the vendors that we've used. We have shopped around, whether it's for our health benefits, for both our employees as well as our retiree policy, to see where savings could be made. Now, that said, we have the same pressures that all small businesses, individuals are dealing with right now with some of the health uncertainty when it comes to health insurance policies, utilities. Some of the expenses and that we've gone up is when you have a rise in caseload, you do have a rise in expenses. I mean, I know one of our increases was postage. We've had a rise in general civil, but civil in general, landlord-tenant cases. That requires a lot of postage because we're not dealing with, although electronic filing for the general civil has been great because we can do electronic notification with tenants and landlords, a lot of those, it's the old-fashioned, we have to put it in the mail. And when you have multiple hearings, you're putting multiple notices to appear. So some of those things that are just the general, like everyone, utilities, some of those court security, those are just expenses that have continued to rise, that we control to the best of our ability. And we're doing everything. I know I've got 3 judges with years of experience in managing court budgets and trying to be fiscally responsible and return unused budget to the funding units. And they take it very seriously.
Okay, my last question is, thanks to Mary Chavez, we're projected to lose $503,000 this year. What would you say to us?
Commissioner Host, I don't think she used the word lose.
I didn't mean
Chavez,
to use...
did you use the word lose 500?
We're going to have a deficit of 503,000, putting in 1.936.
Would it be fair to characterize it as a deficit or a cost?
I would say a cost. It's a cost for a service that the community needs, requires, and we are statutorily obligated to provide.
Okay, I'm sorry for the interruption. Go on.
That answered my question, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
It's 26% that we're losing on our investment, so to speak.
well, it is a service that we're providing.
Yes.
And if, just like you gave me the opportunity, I'd love to, pointed out general civil and some of those low filing fees. The one thing I would tell you is, perfect example, some of the most important cases that we handle at the court are felony cases, including felony cases that arise out of Birmingham. Those cases start at the 48th District Court, and if they happen in the 7 communities that we serve. We might be doing search warrants for those cases, arraignments, swear-tos, probable cause conferences, preliminary exams, bond violations. The vast majority of those cases, though, eventually go up to the circuit court. They're bound over to the Oakland County Circuit Court. There's no revenue that's generated. That doesn't bring in any revenue, but it is a significant service to the communities we serve, one of the most important services that we provide. So I get it when you say, we need to be fiscally responsible and we need to watch our expenses. But yes, there is a cost to those services, and they don't always correlate or match up with the revenue that could bring in. Now, I'm not certain where you received that I would love to sit down with Mary and look at some of those numbers. I'm not seeing that type of cost for Birmingham if we're talking about 2025, if you're talking about
Yes, I am. 2025.
Okay, if you're talking about 2025, yeah.
It's projected that we lose 503,
Yeah.
sorry, that the service costs us $503,000.
We have to remember that what the total comes out to is based on revenue that we return, so the revenue during the year, and then after that true up that we do at the end of the year, but then also unused budget. So between those two, with the revenue that Birmingham has received for 2020-25, we are not projecting that type of cost for the services that Birmingham provided.
Commissioner Host, I have a question. You've obviously studied this carefully. What do you think a fair cost would be?
Probably less than what we're being charged. You know, we're being charged $503,000 this year, and I'd love Ms. Chavez to tell us how much did we lose last year. I believe it was about $450,000, and the year before that was $400,000. Namely, our services are going up in the cost to the Birmingham taxpayer.
Services are going up and costs are going up, and you don't have a target in mind of what you think this would fairly cost.
The target would
Just
be
less.
to break even, or in a sense, stay in business and make some money.
Interesting concept. I don't think that's possible, given what Mr. Dunn has told us. Commissioner Long?
Thank you. Mr. Dunn, so I noted an article in Downtown Magazine on 11/28 that said that Bloomfield Township had approved their district court budget on the 24th. Has West Bloomfield also approved their share?
Yes, they did.
Okay, and in the article, and it said, material presented with the budget data also reminded local officials that the present method of funding the court is expected to be changed at the end of 2026. Is that material that you provided to the township, or additional material about these new funding methods that they provided?
I saw that article. I'm not quite sure where they
got
that.
But-
Yes. No,
so-
there was nothing additional. Both Bloomfield Township as well as West Bloomfield was provided with the same written material
As
that
we
you
were.
have been
Okay.
provided. I think they may have just misread that
So
sunset provision and the trial court funding alternative and what's
Okay,
going on.
but we would appreciate being, as this trial court alternatives move along, if you would keep in contact and let us know when letters or support would be helpful.
Certainly.
We would like
Yes.
to stay involved. With that, I'm prepared to make a motion.
I would love to hear a motion. Could you make your comment in the context of a motion?
I can make my comment in 30 seconds or less.
Okay.
I just, from my point of view, this is a service we provide that's not any different than the police force or the fire department. We don't have the fire department or the police department breaking even. And we don't want to go to our community and say, well, we're not going to investigate the crime on your property because, sorry, we're over budget for this month, but we'll get back to you next month. This is a service that we provide, that we're required to provide, and it costs money to do so. If this was a business where we were going to break even or make money, it would not be in the form of a court. I don't think there's any courts in the land that turn a profit, especially when they're handicapped by the state on what they can charge fee-wise. Sure, they could probably break even if the state relieved them of that limitation, but they don't. So I just felt compelled to point that out.
Thank you.
I'd like to make the suggested commission action, which is to make a motion adopting a resolution to approve the 48th District Court's 2026 budget as submitted.
Second.
Any comment on the motion from the commission? Commissioner Host.
I will be voting against it. I like Mr. Dunn, but yeah, I want to remind you, this is something that Tom Marcus and I actually agreed on from day one.
Okay, I'm not sure that accurately represents the truth, but I don't think he would ever advocated that we not approve a budget. Any other comments from the commission? Any comments from the public? Anyone in the room? Anyone online? If you're online, use the raise your hand function. Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kozowski.
Yes.
Commissioner Host.
No.
Commissioner Kolb.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Anthony Long.
Yes.
Commissioner Long.
Yes.
Mayor Ballard.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. See you next year. Do I need to read both of these motions in full? We have two ordinance amendments. These are amendments to the laws of the city of Birmingham regarding sidewalks, streets, and when a contractor tears up a street to put in a water line or a sewer line, and we are changing, well, I'll let city staff, Melissa Coda, our city engineer, will be presenting this items.
Good evening, City Commissioners. What is being brought forward to you today is to revise essentially our current, what we call trench maintenance fee, to be converted to a bond. So historically in 2019, part of the ordinance was updated that a contractor could essentially pay a fee, and the city would, as part of our annual asphalt and concrete program, would essentially do that replacement on behalf of the builders after they pay the fee. Having meetings a few months ago with the city manager's office, they were asking one thing that could essentially be streamlined as part of the engineering department is the trench maintenance that we do collect and to be able to do the repairs going forward. When this was adopted in 2019, and when I first got here a little over 3 years ago, the fee covers just the essentially construction cost of either asphalt or concrete going back where it's been disturbed for someone replacing a water or a sewer line in the city right of way. What it did not include, but essentially is all the staff time that takes to be able to collect the information and then put it all together for one of our divisions for our annual concrete and asphalt program. With here, I kind of estimated some timeframes of this. It takes almost about a week just for us to get the list collected in BS&A. And with that, we essentially have to also do a time stop. So a lot of times we have to do a time stop of where we get the list created towards the end of February, beginning of March. We need a drop date so that way we can have our inspectors go out in the field, review the measurements and what needs to occur in the field, see if it can even be a construction in that year, because depending on where a house is being built, they may be still using the area up in front for part of their construction staging area. And then it takes time to essentially us to do the field measurements with our inspectors, and then also to time inside city staff to be able to collect all the quantities, get a map created, and put it as part of our division process. So with this, we're asking for the ordinance to be amended to be able to say that it's going to be a bond. So with this, we'll still collect the same amount, but essentially it would be a bond. And if the contractor doesn't complete the work in an efficient way, and or if they don't apply for a right-of-way permit for the payment to be installed back to city standards, then the city would use that bond to be able to do the repairs on themselves. And so with that, I'm available for any questions that the commissioners you may have about this.
City Manager Ecker.
Yes, I just wanted to give a little bit more history going back. So what Melissa's talking about is if somebody's building a new house on a street and they need to connect the water and sewer line to the main, which is in the street, they have to dig up city property, city right-of-way, and the road to get to there and to do the work. It used to be, prior to 2019, you said, that the contractor that dug this up would have to fill it in and do the work to patch it up. There were complaints back at that time that it was too rough and maybe the city should do it themselves. And so it was changed in 2019 to where the city would do it. The problem is, as Melissa mentioned, is the city doesn't have somebody out there any given day to go and do this. So we have to put all of these projects together with our other asphalt, other concrete repair work, package it up yearly. So then sometimes now it's still in rough shape for a long time. And what Melissa's saying is it's then on the city to pull all this information together, get a plan together and put it out to bid for the package as a whole, and then get the work done and then inspect the work. So this way, what it does is it puts the onus back on the contractor. What's different this time, if you remember at the budget hearing, was you wanted some sort of bond to make sure they do the right thing and they do it right. They finish it and they do it right. So this is kind of mixing in with that too. So now we're putting it on them. They have to do it, but not only do they have to do it, they have to give us a bond that promises that they're going to do it and they're going to do it right. And if they don't, within the right time frame, then we will be able to keep their money, go out, do the work, and correct it. But the vast majority of it will not be then displaced back to the city. The contractor will go back to doing what they should have done in the first place, and we'll have the bond mechanism to hold them accountable to make sure they do it, because they're going to want to get their money back. As soon as they show that they've done it and we successfully inspect it, they'll get their bond money back.
Question. The city engineer indicated the amount of the bond is going to be the same as the amount that we were charging for the repair. Is that true? And if so, what incentive do they have to not just walk away? Because somebody's been operating in the city for years and years, they're paying this amount, whatever it is. Now we're asking them to put up the same amount and telling them to repair it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. Do you have a bond calculated amount?
So right now, currently, that would be the same bond amount for right now. Understanding our fees get updated beginning of each fiscal year, so the next one would be July 1st of 2026.
We're setting it right here in the...
And then with this though, this goes also and correlates with the $5,000 bond that the building department currently collects for new houses being constructed. So we're collecting close to an $11,000 bond for the roadway for builders, and the bond would not get returned until they complete the pavement work. So essentially, you've got two sources of a bond, the trench maintenance fee bond plus the $5,000 that they currently pay with the building department for the road bond.
I think the mayor's question or concern, though, is that if it would cost them $15,000 to do the work and they don't want to do the work, they just don't come and get their $15,000 back. They just say, yeah, the city can take care of it. Right?
And we're probably not talking about $15,000 when it comes to just a trench.
Right.
We're talking about
I'm just pulling a number out of the air, yeah.
So I don't understand how the two are tied together. Does the city attorney understand how these two bonds are tied together? And can the big bond be withheld if the smaller
I
one?
don't think the two bonds are interconnected. My understanding, and I didn't get in the trenches with engineering on this, if you will.
So to speak.
That the fee that's being, as of right now, today, the fee is set a certain amount, and that fee doesn't get changed again until next July. So that this bond is going to assure a more timely resolution for the city than waiting around for the contractors.
My point is not, you understand what I'm saying, maybe.
Yes, but it says here that the current fee structure is $3,000 for one lateral and $6,000 for two or more laterals, and it is likely that the actual cost to a contractor to repair might be less than $6,000.
But that's what you charge now for the city to do it.
Yes.
And they happily pay it. Well, not happily, but.
They currently pay it, yes, and depending on if they,
And as a bond, they have the opportunity to get the $6,000 less. If they can do the work for less, then they end up better off. You're right.
Likely they can do it for less.
Likely, because they're already mobilized and they've got the people on hand right there that they can do it right then, they'll get a better deal.
But if they don't do a good job, if they don't do it to our liking,
We
they
keep
don't
the
do it
bond anyway.
timely.
And we're pretty strict. We're going to be very strict, right? About quality of workmanship.
Yes. But it seems like the homeowners would be happier because they're getting service, repair, and the neighbors, repair of the road,
Faster.
as the project is being finished, rather than waiting for us to bid it out a year later. Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem.
This is a real pet peeve for me. On my particular road alone, which is an improved roadway, there are probably 6 different cut-ins that have not been properly, for more than a couple years, that have not been properly fixed. Ones that you go over in your car and you get shaken about. There has to be a better way to do this, and I'm happy that we're going down this pike. Why can't we put out for bid to a contractor every year, just like we have a tree pruning business that comes and we tell them, you got to go do this, you got to go do that, whatever. Why can't we have a contractor that is on call, that when a property is ready for that to be filled in, to come and do the work and get paid? And by doing so, we can still collect the same amount in a bond, and maybe through economies of scale, because they're doing so many throughout the whole year, that it would cost less, but it would be done uniformly. Because I'll tell you, when you put it on the contractor, there are some you look at it and you say, wow, I can't even really tell, like other than the color difference, and then other ones that are just absolutely horrible jobs. And the only way that I can see to avoid that is to have the same entity, whether it's City of Birmingham or whether it's a contractor, doing that work and doing it where we're not waiting for a period of time, because these trenches, when they're temporarily repaired, will fall. And you have gaps, you have even larger gaps in the road for periods of time until we get to it. So I would suggest that there's a better way to maybe handle
Mayor Pro
this.
Tem is suggesting a third model for how this might be done, I think. The first model was wait and do a whole bunch all at once as part of asphalt. Second is have the contractor do it. He's suggesting have a contractor on call.
Or
Is that
retainer.
anything?
Retainer.
Is that a thing? Hold on.
Could it be a thing? Yes. Is it practical in this case? Probably not. It's different to mobilize a tree company to come and prune some branches than it is to mobilize concrete folks to come and do smaller jobs and fit them in at our beck and call. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and I think also too, it would be an increase of cost potentially for
Right.
the contractor to have to mobilize multiple times back to the city, so we may see an increase in cost. And also too, we would potentially need to hire more staff or use a consulting engineering firm to be able to help us manage this, just because if we're starting to get inquiries every 2 or 3 months in the engineering department, we're already having a problem now trying to go out once a year. If we're trying to go out every 2 or 3 months with the repairs, we would need more staff time to be able to do that.
And again, that puts it back on the city again,
Right.
as opposed to on the contractor.
But at least it makes it uniform, and it's not always concrete, right? Sometimes more than half the time it's asphalt. My street
Right.
is asphalt.
Concrete, asphalt.
I just,
Cape Seal.
from a perspective of us spending money on it to put in an improved road, and then right behind it, within a month or 5 months or whatever, somebody's cutting back into that roadway and not putting it back the way it needs to be put back, is whatever we're doing, just based on my street alone, please come drive my street. Just my street alone, and it's not, and I can't imagine it's just my street, but it's horrible.
Okay, so staff has, go ahead. I would like to hear a motion, because this is one of those, although we do have two, so it's a little complicated. Go ahead.
But Model 1, the idea where the city bundles them all together and gets a contractor, is what we are already doing and what we have done since 2019.
Right.
And it did not solve the problems that you're talking about in Model 3. Model 3 and Model 1 are sort of the same model, because that's what we're already doing.
But how often? Once a year? Twice a year?
Once a year.
Once a year. So that's sitting for a year.
Because that's where we get the most
yeah.
I think
efficiency.
their point is, it's not like a tree service that pulls up, has all their equipment. You've got to have concrete, you got to have hot asphalt.
Yeah.
It's probably you talk about staging, is that the word you used?
Yeah, there's that, and then also too, what you run into is we would have to estimate approximately how much quantities is going to be done in each trench maintenance. We go out every 2 or 3 months for that particular thing. And then also too, there's an economy of scale of difference if you've got five, hypothetically, a thing where over 2 months, you've got 5 locations, we need concrete patches completed. Five concrete patches on 2 adjacent streets, or is it 5 concrete patches in every location throughout the city? And then that increases the cost because of the travel time and mobilization to move equipment around. So that's where it's probably a little bit different than the tree contract, because they've got areas where they plan on doing tree trimming, it's programmed, it's planned out, versus for us with engineering department, we would have to estimate potentially how much trench maintenance it would be, and then have to make the assumption it's going to be in different locations throughout the city.
Would it be possible to, if we approve this, to come back in a year and say, it worked great?
Absolutely.
Or tell us it didn't, or whatever.
Right.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Can
Go
I-
ahead.
Can I ask one? Okay,
Sure.
so reading the documentation from the old change back in 2019, when they're saying, well, we used to do it this one way, and now in 2019, we're going to change it to a different way, they provided some motivations for those changes, and one of those motivations seemed to be that it is actually advantageous to not fix the thing immediately, because then you get some time for when backfilling a trench, compaction of the soil between the buried pipeline and the street pavement is very important, is what it said. Is this something we're still worried about? Is it something we're not worried about anymore? Because it sounds like what we're planning is saying, well, they'll just come in, they'll rip it up, they'll throw the stuff down, they'll seal it up, and we're good to go. And the implication is, back in 2019, they said, well, when they do that, we get bad results, so it's actually a good thing for us to wait. I think it says between 3 and 15 months. Are we not concerned about that anymore? What is the deal there?
So if adopted tonight, the resolution, it would put the onus back on the builder, developer of the property. With that, the city would not accept a damaged concrete sidewalk, asphalt slab towards the end of the project when we're working with the building department on their certificate of occupancy. So ideally, if someone was developing a property, they wouldn't want to immediately put asphalt trench down, because if they're building a house in front of it for 12 months and scrapes and damage that new roadway, they're going to be responsible for making that repair.
So you're saying they dig the trench, they do the pipes, then they build the house, and that's going to take 3 to 15 months while all of this, the soil and the compaction of the soil settles down. Then they come in at the very end of the project when the house is finished, and they do the finishing work, and that way the soil has had time to do the compacting, and they have to do it, and we don't have all of this headache for you and your department to take care of.
Yep.
That's the idea.
That, and then plus in 2019, the ordinance was amended to make sure they have a geotechnical inspector giving us density reports. That's also still going to remain in place. That wasn't happening prior to 2019. So that part will also have compaction tests from a third party of the contractor doing that work.
Great, thank you.
I'd like to make the suggested motion. I think it's important to relieve the engineering department of this kind of busy work when possible. So I'd like to make a motion adopting an ordinance to amend Part 2 of City Code, Chapter 98, Street Sidewalks and Other Public Places, Article 2, Street, Section 28, to require contractors to install the final concrete or asphalt pavement, and to authorize the city to collect a trench maintenance bond to ensure completion, and to make a motion adopting a resolution to amend the schedule of fees, charges, bonds, insurance effective January 1, 2026, to update the engineering department's right-of-way permit requirements by replacing the trench maintenance fee with a trench maintenance bond.
Second.
This is all one, this can be done as one
It
one
can be.
motion, 1
Yep.
second? Okay. Okay, comments on the motion? Commissioner Host.
I assume, Melissa, you feel that this is enough money to ensure that the engineering department is covered.
Yes, so we, to estimate the fees, we do take a look back at the year's past bidding and try to estimate what the future year will be for bidding for the pricing. So we do that yearly, and we'll continue that going forward when we have to update the fee schedule annually.
Okay, and I just want to make note of a change in the ordinance that says you got to put a minimum of 3 inches of asphalt on a Cape Seal road. Namely, this is something new.
Yeah, it wasn't
New
defined.
and improved.
It wasn't defined previously before in discussion internally with staff. It was, we would like to include that in the ordinance amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comment from the commission on the motion? Any comment from the public? No one in the room? Anyone online? Use the raise your hand function if you're online. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Therese Long,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolb,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Mayor Ballard.
Yes. Okay, we move to item C, commission items for future discussion. A motion is required to bring up the item for future discussion at the next reasonable agenda. No discussion on the topic will happen tonight. Does anyone have? Commissioner Host?
Yes, I think we should look at the building permits, $5,000 bond for public right-of-way. I can't find a citizen who thinks that that's anywhere near adequate.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking, but perhaps if you put it in the form of a motion.
And the motion would be to
Maybe
look
with a
at the
little bit-
building department's bond for the public right-of-way.
Is that what we just discussed?
No, this is the $5,000 bond through the building department.
That's not for the right-of-way.
It's for the road. You know, we withhold $5,000.
Talk about like the closed roads?
No, for construction, don't they put $5,000 bond on for the road to make sure that it's fixed
Oh,
when they're
for any
done?
damage that's done to
Yeah.
the road surface, not so much the trench, but.
No, I'm not
damage,
talking about the
yes.
trench at
Yes.
all.
Well, we're trying to figure out what you are talking about.
I'm
So,
talking about.
I'm sorry, I don't mean. but we
Every
are-
builder puts a $5,000 bond on the road, that it will be the same road it was before they ran all the trucks, et cetera.
Okay. And this is regardless of how, if it's a 50-foot lot or a 200-foot lot?
I don't know off the top of my head. I believe it's per lot.
It says right in
And
here,
we-
this bond will be collected in addition to the building department's existing $5,000 bond for public right-of-way maintenance associated with new construction.
I believe it's per lot, but I'd
Do
have
we-
to double check.
Sorry, do we have any idea how often we end up keeping that bond? Like,
Okay,
do we return, right?
Whoa.
I mean,
There's a motion on the floor.
You're right.
We all now understand what he's saying. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I don't think we need to discuss the motion, do we? All those in favor of bringing it up to the second stage signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3. So it's 3-3. What do you do on a 3?
That fails.
Fails.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. I'm sorry, Commissioner Host.
I still think it's not enough money.
Well, I agree with you. There's nothing we're going to do about it today. Anyone else have an item for future discussion? Just to be clear, on this, we do a 3, you understand that?
Yes.
3 stages? Okay. All right. Commission discussion on items from a prior meeting. We have using AI to generate minutes. And I believe we have a staff report, or the city manager will address this. The city manager will address this, and having read the report, I'd like to just point out that it narrowly addresses using AI to generate minutes.
Which
This isn't
was
about-
the request.
This isn't about using AI
For anything
else. Perhaps not even, I'll just let you go ahead.
Yes. The issue was, should we discuss, or could we discuss the integration of AI into preparing the minutes? So that discussion is pretty clear that the standard is at this time, best practices is that absolutely not should you use AI because it isn't correct. It isn't necessarily pulling the right information. It has to be double checked by people, and it doesn't meet the Robert's Rules of Procedure. It doesn't meet OMA, all of these things because a computer is doing it, and it isn't producing something that's necessarily correct. So I'm simplifying it vastly. But there is no one out there anywhere that thinks that it is a good idea to use AI to generate minutes off the cuff right away, the night of, or even thereafter, that it is always going to be, with the way that AI is now, in terms of how it would generate minutes, it would always have to be looked over by a person to verify its accuracy and to make sure that it meets all the requirements.
So let me confirm, this is step 2 of the process, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so step 2 is the point at which typically the person who made the motion makes an argument in favor. We have jumped ahead maybe a little bit and gotten a response from the city already, but the person who made the motion to do this is entitled to have the city commission, is entitled to have his say, and is entitled to have a vote from the commission as to whether we should go to step 3. Is that fair?
That's fair to say.
Okay.
In this case, sometimes when these things come up that are so clear that this is not the recommended practice, that we lay it out.
Okay, well,
So,
let's-
but you're right, everybody can still discuss it.
All right, I believe it was Commissioner Host who brought this up.
Sure.
Commissioner Host, you have the floor.
I think our minutes are very bad. They're very subjective, and in meetings that I've been in with AI minutes, it only makes sense that the AI minutes are looked over and changed appropriately by a human being, but they are much more comprehensive, and I think that that's the way our minutes should be.
Hold on. Okay, so Commissioner Long, you have a comment.
I do. I would, first of all, disagree with Commissioner Host's statement that our meetings are bad and subjective. And I would like to, since this issue has come up from Commissioner Host before, remind everyone that we had registered professional parliamentarian Coco Seward here in 2020 and again on February 4th of 2024, reminding us that minutes are not transcripts. Minutes are, according to Robert's Rules of Order newly revised, meant only to record actions. They are never to be a transcript of what was said. They are on purpose very truncated versions of meetings because the purpose, and you remember we had the handouts, what minutes should contain and the effective meetings. The purpose of the minutes is to record actions and votes, and our minutes do that appropriately. And so I am absolutely opposed to any effort to try to make them more transcript-like or to, as Commissioner Host would like, to record public comment in more detail than we already do. In response to Commissioner Host's concerns, we've already changed our minutes. We used to say that a person spoke. Now we say a person spoke on a topic. And that was a concession. And I think that that was enough concession, and I am opposed to using AI for that. I think that our minutes are correct and appropriate.
Thank you. I would point out that the minutes come up usually at the next meeting. We can read them. They are draft minutes. Anyone can pull the minutes and suggest changes. So if one thinks that they are somehow subjective or otherwise in error, you can pull them. Any of us can pull them from the consent agenda, suggest the changes, and then we can go from there. Commissioner Lowe.
More importantly, we're being recorded.
Exactly. You can go back to the tape.
You can go back to the tape. What I view the minutes as are, as I concur with Commissioner Treeslong. It is to help you to, if I wanted to go and see exactly what was said, I can go to the recording. It's on numerous different platforms. But I could kind of get an idea from the minutes as to how far along in the meeting, if it's a 3-hour meeting and it was in the middle of the meeting, I could probably go about halfway along and I could find it, and it is verbatim, it is recorded. And because of that, I'm not in favor of changing the way that we do things or utilizing AI, which I just had a national expert talk to my 150 attorney law firm about the use of AI in the legal practice and the do's and don'ts and the pitfalls of that. And it kind of closely tracks the concerns that we would have here. So
I know there's quite a few people who want to speak. You want to say something?
Yeah, I do. I think it's
ahead.
really important for the minutes and for the record that the way that we do our minutes are completely legal. And in fact, we exceed what is required of us by law. And in fact, I advocate that we are saying too much in our minutes. I agree with Ms. Seaver that minutes are only to summarize and memorialize actions taken, not conversations and not transcripts.
Okay, so typically on stage 2, would we have a motion to take it to stage 3? Do we have, Commissioner Host, you're absolutely welcome to make a motion.
Commissioner Treeslong has brought up a good point. Our minutes are getting better. It actually lists the person and then says they spoke about an issue. So that is progress.
Would you like to make a motion to take this to step 3?
I would like us to take this to stage 3.
I'll take that as a motion. Is there a second? Hearing no second? I'm sorry. Okay, let's move along to, I need a motion to meet in closed session.
I'll do it if you'd like.
I would love you.
I'd like to make a resolution to meet in closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268, Section 8, paren 1, paren E of the Open Meetings Act to discuss pending litigation entitled the City of Birmingham versus the Community House Association, Birmingham, Michigan, Oakland County Circuit Court Case Number 2025-219218-CZ before the Honorable Martha D. Anderson.
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Long,
Yes.
Commissioner Treeslong,
Yes.
Mayor Ballard,
Yes.
Commissioner Host,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolb,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozowski.
Yes.
Excellent. We now have removed from consent agenda. There was none. Communications, there is a communication regarding the Early Childhood Center. I will note that I received several emails like this, and I believe I passed them along maybe too late for inclusion in the agenda. We have reports, commissioner reports. First, we have several notices of intention for appointments. 1, to the Housing Board of Appeals, 2, to the Public Arts Board, number 3, to the Stormwater Utility Appeals Board, number 4, to the Board of Review, and 5th, to the Environmental Sustainability Committee. Do any commissioners have any reports? Okay, we'll move to commissioner comments. Do any commissioners have any comments?
I'll just make a really brief one. Commissioner Treeslong and I attended the ribbon cutting for RH, which was very, very well done and an honor to take part in. And I'd like to, again, welcome RH to Birmingham.
Okay.
I have one.
Okay.
Former City Commissioner Tom McDaniel passed away last week, and I just wanted to note that we all, I think, recall and honor his service, and his spouse, Susan, was hoping that we would communicate that his obituary has been published. The arrangements are being handled by Desmond Funeral Home, and the service and visitation are tomorrow evening, and then again Wednesday morning on Crooks Road in Troy. So we miss you, Tom McDaniel.
Yeah, thank you very much for remembering that. Commissioner Host.
I just want to add, 6 weeks ago, Robert Appleford passed away, and we did not, acknowledge his service.
Thank you. He was a neighbor of mine. Molly. Sorry to hear that. Any other commissioner comments? I will just briefly note that Assistant City Manager Clements and I visited the two nearby senior services facilities, one in Bloomfield Township and one in Rochester. Great tours, really learned a lot, and hope to bring some of that information to bear on our future discussions of support for next. Moving along, any other comments? Moving along to advisory boards, committees, commissions reports, none. Legislation, none. City staff, none. We can now, do I need to bang the gavel to adjourn to?
No, we're going to keep the meeting open and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. we recording? Oop, here we are. We're back in session. It is 9:38 PM. We were in a closed session to discuss litigation with the Community House. And an update at our last meeting on November 17th, we indicated that the Commission believes the Community House is a public trust, that the land and building were donated to serve the community, and that the city intends to use each and every available means to see that it remains a community asset. Since then, the city has made several filings in Oakland County Circuit Court that aim to halt the sale of the Community House. Among those is a notice of lis pendens, which is a legal document filed with the Recorder of Deeds that tells all potential buyers that a lawsuit has been filed concerning the property. At this time, we're awaiting word from the court on our other pleadings. Thanks. And with that,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
adjourn.
Thank you.